All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Now, after today's 113 to 96 loss to the Atlanta Hawks, the New York Knicks now find themselves in a 3-1 series deficit in this opening round series in the Eastern Conference playoffs. The Knicks were one of the feel-good stories of the regular season as they went from a team who was only able to win 21 games last year to winning 41 games this time around and earning the 4 seed in the NBA playoffs. Now, nothing was expected of the Knicks heading into this season as they really overachieved. And coming into this NBA campaign, I really felt that as if the Knicks were able to find a way to contend for that 10th slot in the Eastern Conference, they would really be taking a step in the right direction. And like I just said, the Knicks really overachieved and exceeded that. But unfortunately for the Knicks, their flaws are now being exposed in this first round series versus the Hawks. And the biggest thing for me with the Knicks, they're lacking the guy. In order to be able to take over in those key moments. Yes, Julius Randle was the league's most improved player this year, and he really showed flashes during the regular season. You're talking about a guy that averaged 24 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists during the regular season. But right now, the Hawks have zeroed in on slowing down Randall. He's only averaging 14.7 points per contest in this series. And on top of that, the outside game is not really there. And I mean, make no mistake about it, Julius Randle, his game has improved this year, but you've never thought of Randall as being a perimeter guy. And, now it's really showing up at the most inopportune time for this Knicks team. RJ Barrett is another guy. He was averaging 17 points during the regular season and is down to just 11 in this series during the playoffs. And, Derrick Rose, the veteran and former MVP, has stepped up his game as he's dropping in 24 points. But, at this point in his career, D Rose is not the D Rose that he was, of course, 10 years ago. And the Knicks are missing that guy. And that's, no disrespect to them. They have a team primarily full of role players. And, the Knicks did it throughout the regular season with their heart, with their determination, and with their defense. You're talking about one of the better defensive clubs in the NBA throughout the regular season. But right now, the biggest thing for the Knicks, they have not had anybody defensively who has been able to check Hawks point guard Trae Young, as he is averaging nearly 28 points per game in this series, along with more than 10 assists per contest as well. And being that the Knicks have been unable to neutralize him, and being that he has had his time in the second half to really take over these contests, it is really put the Knicks behind the 8 ball. And we see that because they're down 3-1 in this series right now. I know that there are going to be some people that are going to say, well, is Knicks head coach Tom Thibodeau being outcoached by Hawks head coach Nate McMillan? You can make the case, but the biggest thing for me with Tibbs is, he doesn't have the personnel to go out there to make adjustments to get past this Hawks team. And we're seeing that right now. Number two, and this is where people could say the outcoach part, is that, Tibbs, going back to his time as a head coach of the Bulls, Tibbs has never been a guy who is going to go out there and make adjustments on the fly or make adjustments in a series. What got him to the dance is what he is going to try to use to get him past the dance. But in this case, he doesn't have what it takes to get this team past this point. You look at it, and of course, people are going to say, and I know that there are going to be some diehard Knicks fans that are going to, not like what I have to say. But they don't have what it takes to come back and win this series. And I coming into the series, I did pick the Knicks in 6 to get past Atlanta. I just don't see a scenario right now with what we're looking at and what we have seen from the first 4 games in this series to say, you know what, the Knicks are going to come out and win the next 3 versus the Hawks. I mean, obviously, the first things first, you got to go out there and win Game 5 at home at MSG in front of your home fans, and definitely you don't want to see your season end in a loss at home to your home fans. But make no mistake about it, the Knicks have to go out there. They have to play better at the defensive end, and they got to try to fight, scrap, and claw come game five and do whatever it takes in order to stave off elimination. And it won't be easy because this Hawks team has plenty of confidence right now. They've been a much better team since Nate McMillan took over midseason. And, we've seen, what it takes for how this team has gravitated to everything that he is selling on them. But you look at the Knicks, going into the offseason, they have a ton of cap space, which is good for them. And a credit to this regime that they haven't gone out there and spent money stupidly like we've seen in the past. One big problem is, a lot of free agents this summer are restricted free agents. So, of course, teams are going to have opportunities to match those contracts. But I think going forward and, what the Knicks are going to have to do, they got to keep working on their young guys. And what we have seen from this organization in years past, they tend to give up on their young guys rather quickly. And I think this time around, the Knicks need to stick with RJ Barrett. They need to stick with Obi Toppin. I know Kevin Knox is a guy who's kind of lost in the shuffle due to the fact that, this regime didn't bring him in. But you know what? If you're Toppin and Barrett, those have to be integral parts of what you were trying to build going forward. And the Knicks need to keep trying to build in order to go out there and find a way to attract free agents in the future to try to get this team back to that level where they want to be among the NBA elite. It's still a great story for what we've seen with the Knicks right now. Their lack of perimeter play offensively is showing up in this series. Again, Julius Randle, great story this season, but the bottom line is he's not the guy. And I think that he does have a future in the blue and orange at Madison Square Garden. I just hope that the Knicks don't do something stupid and give this guy a max deal, because we're seeing right now why you can't go out there and give Randall a max contract, because he doesn't have the ability to put this team on his back at the key moment. But for the Knickerbockers, it looks like, this series is probably going to be it. I said it before and I'll say it again. I don't see a scenario in which they go out there and beat the Hawks 3 games in a row. They have not had answer the first for Trae Young since this series began, and it is showing up right now. Again, it's that old fable in sports. What you cannot do shows up at the most inopportune time in a game or in a series. Right now, the Knicks' perimeter play or lack thereof it is hurting them. Right now, the Hawks have zeroed in on slowing down Julius Randle, and that's a credit to them. And, right now, the Knicks simply don't have an answer for Trae Young. So these are the things that they have to try to fix going forward. This is what they're going to have to do in order to contend with the Phillies in the East, with the Brooklyn Nets, with the Boston Celtics. I know Boston's a 7 seed, but they're still up there if they're healthy. The Miami Heats of the world, the teams that, are right there, who have either been to the finals in recent years, been to the conference finals, or have what it takes to win an NBA championship in the very near future. So this is what the Knicks have to do going forward. But with that said, I know that the Knicks fan base in New York City can be very hard on this team from time to time. We've seen it over the years. But, you got nothing to be ashamed of with this team. This team fought, scrapped, and clawed all season long. It's just the fact that the Hawks right now are the better team. So obviously the series is not over, but it's looking like it's over for the Knicks. But what they got to try to do is find a way to build off of this going into next season. And for the short term, like I said, they got to come out all hands on deck for game 5, try to find a way to slow down Trae Young, because you're not going to stop him. And they got to try to get back to their game, which is what led them to winning 41 games during the regular season, fighting, scrapping, and clawing, and doing whatever it takes. We've known that to be a trademark with Tom Thibodeau's teams. But right now, the Knicks simply are lacking the talent to match up with the Hawks. And unfortunately for their case, more than likely, their season is going to be ending very, very soon. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, Please feel free to follow me at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There is also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.